This video is by Straight Goods News, SGNews.ca.
Well, good afternoon. It seems the Minister has accepted recommendations from the advisory panel, which is a good thing. The unfortunate part is the Minister didn't take any responsibility for it. And so it really is a damning indictment of his management of the entire food safety regime. The interesting part is he's said there's 30 new positions, but yet his technical briefing talks about he's going to shuffle the deck. He's going to take some folks and literally take them out from inside the agency and put them in new positions. And so what does that mean to the backfill? There's no backfill here. There's no sense that he is going to backfill those positions. And so that means there will be 30 short somewhere else. So if you take them out of meat inspection and put them into IVT teams, this is roaming inspection teams, what does that mean for those inspectors? Will they be replaced? Or will it be lab techs? Or just really don't know what's going to happen there. And the other side of it is this really speaks to the Minister's first decision around going to what's called a compliance verification system, which they started back with in 2008-9. They ran a pilot. The Weatherall report said back in 2009 that they needed to do an audit of the CVS system. They never did an audit of CVS. So that the CVS itself would have said, how many inspectors do I really need to do the system properly, to make sure it's safe, to make sure we don't get an Excel. They didn't do that. That was a major failure then, and it's still a major failure now. They still don't really know if that system works. So now we're going to get spot checkers roaming the country, trying to see why the system isn't working from a system that they never tried to prove would work in the first place. So really is a damning indictment of this Minister's management of the whole food safety regime in this country. And quite frankly, he deserves $54 million out of the CFA's budget. And now the Minister says, well, we'll add 15.77 back in. So clearly it's an admission that they underfunded the budget for CFIA and they've had to add money. So clearly that's an admission that they took too much money out of the system. I would argue that they need to put back the entire $54 million that they took out in the last budget cycle. And we need to continue to make sure that CFA functions in a proper manner.
The government has boasted about the fact that Canada has one of the best food safety systems in the world, and you mentioned the call from the Weatherall report with respect to calls for an outside audit on the entire system, which hasn't been done. Why, just to drive the message home, why do you think that step is a necessary one?
Well, it's a really interesting question as to why they've even done this. I mean, clearly we have a robust food safety system because of the inspectors that are there. The dilemma becomes we don't have enough. We understand the fact that this is an agency that's losing money in the sense of its budget allocations, and it needs a proper funding. And now we find out it wants to add money to it. If they had done the audit, they'd know how many food inspectors in meat facilities they truly need. They may actually have one too many in one location and too few somewhere else. So if they would actually do that audit, they'd know do they need 5 here or 6 there, or do they need 10 or 12? What are the numbers?
So do you think if they had done the audit sooner that this would have been avoided?
Well, I believe so. I think what they would have found the holes in the system where the compliance verification system is about making sure the paperwork goes. One of the major faults here was when they asked the company to do paperwork to give them materials, they didn't. And so that system shows you how to do that. We know that a lot of inspectors were never trained because no one could pay the overtime to allow them to go get the training in the first place. And so there's a lot of issues there. If that system had been in place, audited properly, there's a good chance Excel would have never occurred in the first place.
These investigators have to they have to have the knowledge to assess the entire food system. Do you think that the training that Minister Ritz stated is going to be enough to have them be able to accurately assess the system?
Well, it's going to be very, very difficult. I mean, they're now going to have to basically be a generalist, if you will, and know all aspects of the system. Many of them have a sense of that now, but they're also going to have to be given authority because now they're actually going into a plant and they need authority over their peers who are also food inspectors. And so without that authority to be able to say to them, you need to do this differently or you need to act in a certain way, then the system will still fail. And so clearly you've got a team of roaming spot checkers who are going to have to be given different authority than what's presently out there in my view, because now they're going to be ordering inspectors as well as the plant to do certain things. And so it's going to be, I think, complicated for a while. If the system was robust, then we don't need people double checking people who are already checking. If there's enough people checking the system, without trying to make a alliteration out of it, it literally is about if there's enough inspectors making sure the plant is operating correctly, you don't need somebody running around to check on the folks doing the job they're supposed to do.
So do you think the problem now is fixed? Do you think we're going to be a similar issue like this summer?
Now, I don't think it's fixed. I think this is a bit of a band-aid solution to things, to be honest. We need to actually make sure that the system itself works. Otherwise, we're simply hoping we catch the system when it breaks down, before it breaks down, by having a team run around checking to make sure that the inspectors and the plant is doing what they're supposed to do. And so it really would be incumbent upon the ministry to fund CFA appropriately so that every inspector is trained accordingly, and indeed they are able to do the work they need to do. The lessons learned from Excel clearly are much more than just this independent verification team.